Hey everybody, my name is YONIT SPIEGELMAN and I'm a bass player working in New York City. I'm also a Berklee alumni and a Berklee staff in the summer programs. So I'm here today to talk to you about Berklee auditions. I've done them myself and I've prepared quite a few students for the auditions, so I have a few tips to share with you. Whether you have your audition tomorrow or whether you have your audition in 2 months, this is probably a video that's going to help you. So obviously it's really hard to prepare you for an audition in 10 minutes, but what I'm going to try to do is talk you through the audition to make you a little bit more familiar with what you're going to experience. We'll talk about your performance last, as this is the most important thing that you'll have in your audition. So we'll talk about the easier parts first. First thing is that you're going to have sort of an ear training test. Now it sounds very, very scary, an ear training test, and it usually is, but in this audition it's actually not that bad. But you should prepare for it just so that you won't be surprised. So we have this piano right here, and I'm going to do exactly what they're going to do. They're going to play a single note on the keyboard and ask you to do one thing. Repeat it. Now, you can repeat it by singing it. You can repeat it by playing it. Usually if you're an instrumentalist, they're going to ask you to play it with your instrument. If you're comfortable doing that, you should do that. If you're more comfortable singing, you should tell them that you just want to sing it. Vocalists and drummers, of course, you have no choice. Yeah, you just have to sing it. So as you can see, it's pretty easy. They're going to start with only a single note. And you need to respond to that. No, it could be tough because you might not know your registers, so you don't really know if you can sing a certain note. As you can see, I know that I can't sing the slow D, so I sang it an octave higher. Now this is something that you probably want to practice just because you're coming to the audition and you're very, very nervous, so you want to make sure that you have this 100% right, so that even if you have your 70% in the audition, it's going to sound great. Now if you manage to actually do all these notes and sing them, what they might do is play 2 notes together. So they might play this. They might also play it separately, but you want to really make sure that you can sing it when they play it together. And then make sure that you actually sang it right. Now if you find it hard, you can always separate the 2 notes and try it either way to make sure that you can actually get used to it and try to find them. Now a tip for finding the notes when they play an interval together is try to really listen to the bottom one separately and then try to listen to the top one separately. For example, try to listen to that bottom note. See, I just separated it. Then just try to listen to the top note. So it's kind of a technique that you can work on that's really easy to just do it by yourself, that you can separate those 2 notes and actually get to that higher level in the ear training test. You can do it by yourself. If you have a piano, just play the piano. If you have a keyboard will do it. You can do it with guitar, but they're most likely to do it with the piano, so you might want to practice your piano with it. If you don't have any, download a free app on your phone with a keyboard and just try to go at it. So that's it for the ear training test. After that, they're going to do something that I think is the easiest of the audition, which is the rhythmic test. All they want to do is just make sure that you have some sort of a rhythmic sense. So they're going to clap a rhythm, and then you have to repeat it. And then they're going to give you something else. And then they're just going to want to repeat it, and usually it's something that people seem to think that it's the easiest thing. So we had the ear training, we had the rhythmic, now we have 2 things that are a little bit tougher. Sight reading and playing over a playback. Usually the blues. Now both of them demand work ahead, which means that if your audition is tomorrow, you might want to focus on the other things and just say, you know what, I can't read music, or you know, I never played the blues. But if you have at least a couple of months or even just a month before, you can really take a lesson with someone who knows their stuff and learn a little bit about how to play the blues. Of course, sight reading is something that you have to practice a little bit more, since it's more of reading a language. So you really got to know your stuff. So we'll start with sight reading. If you have that time, take 2 months of just learning your music theory with the teacher. It will help you a lot, not only in getting into Berklee, it will help you a lot while being into Berklee. You might be able to skip even a class or two, but what you can really do is, you know, it will help you with the homework, it will help you with the classes. Everything you do as a professional musician has to be through music theory. So I highly recommend taking classes of music theory with a teacher before. And then when you actually get to the sight reading, it's going to be easier for you to perform that. They're going to give you the sight reading material about 10 to 15 minutes before you actually get into your audition. So it's not sight reading on the spot, you can actually go through it. So if it makes you a little bit more calm about managing that, then yeah, you got those few minutes. And another thing is that they're going to match the sight reading to your instrument, which means if you're a vocalist, it's going to be a melody of a song, so you don't have to sing a bass line. And if you're a bass player, it's going to be a funky bass tune or some sort of South American bass line, which means that you don't really have to play a saxophone bebop lick. So that's kind of a nice thing of Berklee, to actually give us sight reading that matches our instrument. It doesn't happen every time. So it's awesome that in Berklee auditions, it's always for your instrument. So we have the sight reading. And the other thing that we have is the blues or the playback. Usually it's some sort of jazz swing related playback. Mostly from what I've heard in the instrumental auditions, it will be blues. Sometimes for singers, it will be some sort of a different riff or just changes that will repeat themselves. What you want to do is make sure that you work with a teacher that has proficiencies in your own instrument to teach you some stuff about the blues. You might want to learn a scale or two. You can play the blues just knowing one scale. You can also play the blues knowing 2 scales and listening to a bunch of different artists that will inspire you for a certain sort of style of playing. You really want to work on your 8th notes. So if you're coming from a different genre, it's okay if you can't play the blues, but it's highly recommended because it is something that you can master pretty easily if you have the technique ability. If you're a vocalist, it might give you a different set of changes. What you need to work out is you can just go to the Berklee website, download those tracks, just try and go for it. Because if you try and go for it and you know, do your best before and maybe even have some stuff ready for the audition, there's more chance that you'll be successful in that part of the audition. So we have the blues, the sight reading, the ear training, and the rhythmic exercises. So the only thing we really have left is to talk about your performance, which is the most important thing in Berklee, because there's a lot of people who can sight read, there's a lot of people who can do the rhythm, but Berklee wants to know why they need to take you specifically. So you gotta show everything that you got as a musician right in those 5 minutes. Now, it is gonna be 5 minutes. They're not gonna give you 6 and they're not gonna give you 12. So if you play 12 different instruments, it might be a little bit hard to take them all and put those in those 5 minutes, but take the stuff that you have the best strength in, that you are most confident with, and then you can put it in front of them in those 5 minutes. Now, I highly recommend taking someone else to help you with that, because a lot of times there could be stuff that you're not aware that are very special to you, unlike other people. So you want to have someone else to come and say, you know what, this is amazing. Let's put this in front together with this or this. So you might have even 3 different songs of just a minute and a half each that you will show your different abilities in at, and you can actually come to the auditioners and tell them, hey, I know I have 5 minutes, but I have 3 songs of a minute and a half each. Trust me, I timed it, and I want you to listen to the whole thing. They will appreciate it much more than singing a ballad of 12 minutes that they will have to cut you in the middle. And they will actually see everything that you have to offer as a musician, which is the most important thing in the audition. So you had the performance and you had all of the things in your audition. The last thing that's going to happen is probably the easiest since you don't have to be on stage, and that's the interview. Most of the times you go into a different room and you sit with someone who's going to ask you a lot of questions. So you might want to prepare some answers for questions such as, why do you want to go to Berklee? What do you think is going to happen to you in Berklee? What are you searching in your musical experiences in Berklee? What do you want to do after Berklee? And a lot of questions that just deal with that, or how long have you been a musician and what does it mean to you and why do you want to keep on pursuing your career? So you probably want to think about those questions a little bit. I believe they have it on the website as well. So you really want to do your homework and sometimes put it in words, because we know it sometimes, but we don't really know how to explain it to a different person. It's of course really important to say anything about you wanting to be in Berklee for as many years. It's important to say about your financial situation, so you might want to be prepared for that because Berklee has a certain tuition. But overall, it's a very nice experience in the interview. It's not something that you should be nervous about. So yeah, it's a lot to take, but this is how your Berklee audition is going to go. If you have more than a few days until your audition, I highly recommend taking a lesson either with me or the other awesome Berklee graduates that you have in Lessonface.com, and we will help to make your dream come true.